Hello, my friends, and welcome to Genealogy Gems podcast episode number 308. Okay, I have a quick question for you. Get your thinking caps on. What was your great-great-grandmother's maiden name? Pick any great-great-grandmother. You got it? Okay, good. Now, what was your dad's first car? If that second question stumped you more than the first one, you're actually in very good company, my friend. And you are exactly who today's episode is for. I'm Lisa Louise Cook, and today we are talking about something a little bit different. We're not going to go back to the 1800s. We are not crossing the ocean. We are turning the camera around, and we're focusing it on your dad. And we're going to talk about why your dad so often becomes kind of the forgotten ancestor in your family tree. We're going to talk about how to build out his timeline from what's already in your hands. We're going to cover some strategies and a few workarounds for somebody who was born in the 20th century, like your dad, including the privacy walls that don't really exist for the records back in the 1800s or earlier. And we're going to talk about how to capture his story while you still can, even if your relationship with him is a little complicated. For many of us, this isn't a someday project. It's a right now project. So first, let's talk about how dad gets skipped. Now, this happens pretty easily. You might be looking at your family tree and you realize, I have his name in there. I have his birth date and his place and maybe where he went to school or when he got married. If he has passed away, you may have his death date. And then you have his parents and you go from there. How come that happens? Why is it some of the most important people in our lives have so little information in our family tree? Well, the typical pattern when you're doing genealogy research is you put yourself in the family tree, then you add your parents, and then you immediately add your grandparents because really they're the ones who you're going to be able to kind of take off with to go further back in the generations. And from there, we really start chasing the old stuff, right? So your dad becomes kind of a connector node. He's a name. He's a couple of dates, a marriage line, rather than a fleshed out person in the family history like your other ancestors. And this doesn't really happen because of neglect. It's not that we're neglecting dad. It's really the momentum that we are feeling, the excitement that we have about trying to go back further generations and really build out a big family tree. It's the thrill of the hunt, right, that pulls us backwards and drives us to make discoveries. And we might be assuming that records for living people or recently passed away people, those are always there. And we assume we can get to it later. But that's actually not as easy as it sounds. We're going to talk about that. And of course, there can be emotional complexity. I know there was for me when I first started doing genealogy research really seriously. My dad and I weren't very close. There had been kind of a break in our relationship. And I've talked about that here on Genealogy Gems. And, thank God he is still alive. And he's 86 years old, vibrant as ever. And he was just here recently for a visit. So this has really been on my mind because I am so grateful for the fact that we have a closer relationship now. And it just would have been so sad if we hadn't gotten on better footing again and really grown as close as we have today. But two, if we had been in that difficult place and then let it stop me from getting to know the man who helped bring me into this world. He's a pretty important guy, and we want to honor that. So I get it that it can be complex and emotional, but it's worth doing. There is no way that the man who contributed his DNA to you doesn't have a distinct and important impact on your life. And here's the irony. The ancestor with the least paper trail in your family tree right now might be the one who could tell you the most in his own words, in his own voice, if you just asked him. And when my dad came for a visit in April of this year, that's exactly what was on the forefront of my mind. We had lots of other things to do, but I made sure that we sat down and just had a wonderful, relaxed conversation on the back porch by the pool and put the recorder on and really got to hear his entire story. And I think he was actually really kind of honored and tickled, as my mother would say. He was very tickled that I asked and that he got to kind of revisit himself. In fact, he had some aha moments himself, like, I haven't thought about that in years. And so it was really mutually beneficial. And if your father has already passed away, there is still so much you can discover. There are still people alive today who knew him, maybe before you did. And so we're going to explore those opportunities. If your dad's profile in your family tree right now is pretty basic, a name, a couple of dates, yes, you're completely normal. But let's fix this together. Do you know that feeling when a record just clicks into place and suddenly a person you never knew becomes completely real to you? That's what archives.com is built for. They've got millions of historical records, birth certificates, census rolls, military files, marriage records, and a search experience that actually makes sense, whether you've been doing this for 30 years or 30 minutes. I love that archives.com is affordable too, because this kind of research shouldn't have a barrier to entry. If there's a story in your family that you've been trying to find, go to archives.com and start looking. It's closer than you think. So, if your father is alive, the first thing you need to do is talk to him. Okay? Don't wait. Don't wait till next week or next month. Do it now. Talk to him. Get him on the phone. See if he can do a Zoom call with you. That would be even better, so you can kind of see each other. And it makes it really easy to record. But you can absolutely record using your phone as well. Talk to him. Just ask for his permission. Let him know that you just want to hear his story. However it is he wants to tell it. No expectations, no, guidelines. Just be ready with some questions of your own in case he kind of struggles with which direction to go. And let him know, hey, Dad, I'd like to record this. Is that okay with you? And then get on the phone and just start talking. It's amazing how sometimes not having a lot of expectations can really open the doors and get that conversation moving. And of course, I think the easiest way to do things is chronologically. It's going to be easier for you to keep track along the way and keep up with the story, but it's also going to be easier for him to tell the story. And that's what I focused on with my dad when we got together was starting to say, hey, take me back to when you first graduated college and you and Mom got married. Because I didn't know very much about his career in the early days. I said, tell me, where were you working then and how did you end up in the wood products industry? And he was off and running. He told me stories about working in the morgue of a psychiatric hospital at night. He worked nights, my goodness. He was newly married. He was 18 years old. He was in college at the time. And it was just fascinating to hear the road that he took and how he ultimately became an entrepreneur and opened his own business and just did so many things. Start chronologically. Take him back to the beginning and start walking through. If you think his career might be the most comfortable topic for him, that's a great way to kind of provide a structure. And along the way, you can stop and say, well, where was Mom at this time? Or how did you make time for any other activities? When you had free time, what were you doing? And that can kind of help fill in those gaps. Now, if your father's already passed away, you're going to want to talk to the people who knew him, the people around him. And they can often hold a lot of details about your dad, things that maybe you never thought to ask, he never thought to mention. Each person has their own unique memories, of course, so their perspective comes from whatever the relationship was. Were they siblings? You could talk to his siblings, his cousins, old coworkers, neighbors, members of the church, any clubs that he was involved with. These are people who have unique perspectives that really nobody else may have on your dad, and would probably enjoy hearing from you and having a conversation. So talk to the people around him. And we really put interviewing at the top of our list before we get to any paperwork, any other type of online searching, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. And as I've said many times here on the show, I will never forget Alex Haley talking about the fact that when somebody dies, it's like a library burning down. All of that unique information, those unique memories from their specific perspective are gone. And there's no getting them back if they haven't already been shared and put down on paper or recorded. So we don't want to take any more risks than we have to, and we want to start doing this as soon as we can. Some of us were very fortunate to have thought about doing some of this when we were very young. But don't be discouraged. Even if you are in your later years and you think, oh, I missed the boat on this. No, you didn't. I know there's people out there who knew your dad, and you can talk to them and track them down. Okay, now before we go any further, we've got the ball rolling on the interviewing and collecting those memories. Let's get a framework. This is going to help so much. And I think the best framework that we can use to learn more about our dad is to create a basic timeline. Okay, so we're going to slow down for a minute because I really do think that this is a step that people often skip. And it's really one of the ones that pays off the best. And it's going to give you a great structure to work within. Before you touch a single database, before you type your dad's name into a search box anywhere, I want you to do something almost embarrassingly simple. Just write down a basic timeline. And I mean a really rough one. Grab a notebook, open a blank document, whatever's handy. This isn't about making it all, formal in the formatting. This is about getting down what's in your head and getting it onto paper, on a document, where you can actually look at it. Start with the basics, okay? So you're going to put in his birth, date, and place where you think he grew up. Every house, every town, even if all you've got is, well, I think it was somewhere outside of Dayton. That's fine. Write that down. Write down the schools that you think he went to or know he went to. Did he serve in the military? If so, when and what branch? Whatever you know, jot that down. Do you know when he met your mom or when they got married? Jot down jobs he had, okay? Because your goal and your work is going to be to get it concrete. We'll do that. We've got lots of ways to do that. But you're going to jot down in general timeline, chronological fashion, all of these different elements of his life. So every place that they lived as a couple, every move they made, and if he's passed away, when and where that happened as well. Now, here's why this simple little exercise is so much more powerful than it sounds. First, and this is really the encouraging part, as you start filling this in, you're going to discover that you actually know more than you thought you did. A lot of us approach Dad's research assuming that we're starting from zero. And then we sit down and we go, oh, wait, actually, I do know when he got out of the Army. Or I do know that they lived in that little yellow house before I was born. That's real information. That's starting clues that you can work with. That's a foundation. And it's going to save you time because every one of those facts is a thread that you can pull on later in your research. And here's the part I really want you to pay attention to. It's the blanks. Okay, these are good. As you're writing out this timeline, you're going to hit blank spots, right? Where you just stop and you go, oh, I just have to write down not sure or sometime in the 1960s. And where you leave a gap of 3, 4, 10 years with absolutely nothing in it. Those are the blank spots in the timeline. Resist the urge to feel bad about that. That gap is not your failure. It's actually an opportunity. It's your timeline actually talking back to you and saying, hey, there's a story here. You need to go fill out this part. It gives you kind of your research question, if you will. It's what happened during this blank time. Here's what I'm missing. Here's roughly what happened. And here's where to start looking. Instead of randomly searching his name and hoping, something's going to pop up, now you have a targeted approach. So now you know exactly what kind of records to go hunting for and exactly what to ask your aunt about the next time that you talk to her. So after interviewing either your dad or the people who knew him, or both, your task is to build your rough timeline so we can shed some light on those blank spots. And if you feel like you need a little more structure with this, you might want to check out my online course on how to create a genealogy research plan. This really gives you a checklist, and it will help you really break down exactly where to look and keep track of everything that you're finding. So if you're a premium member, you can head over to genealogygems.com and jump into the course right away. It is a perk of being a premium member, and it has an online value of $99. It's a 1-week course, and you get it as part of premium membership when you sign up. So you can check that out. Okay, so now we're chomping at the bit to get into some records because we've got our basic timeline fleshed out with what it is we know so far. But before we actually go find these records, let's talk about something that trips up almost everybody the first time they try to research a parent. And that is the privacy wall. Okay, here's the scenario. Maybe you've spent years pulling birth, marriage, and death records for ancestors back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, and it's been pretty straightforward. You've been able to search databases on your favorite genealogy websites. Maybe you've put in a request to the county clerk's office and you've gotten it back in the mail. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is a pretty good process. And this is great because I roughly know when and where my dad was born. So let me just order his birth certificate the same way or go search for it online. And then when you do, you find out it's not listed. It's not in Ancestry.com or FamilySearch.org. And if you write a letter to the county clerk, you might get a letter back, a very polite letter, saying, this record is restricted. And unless you can actually prove that you are the person named on it, or you are a family member, or that this person is deceased, you're not going to get a copy. That happens. It's actually, in many ways, more challenging to research living people or recently passed away people than it is people who have been gone for 100 years. So if this happens to you, hear this. This is completely normal. And it does not mean that the trail has gone cold or that it's not possible to get records. A lot of states have what are called closed record periods for vital records, especially birth certificates, but sometimes death and marriage records as well. And these laws exist for a genuinely good reason. A birth certificate is really one of the basic building blocks of identity theft. So states are going to restrict access to more recent records specifically to protect the people that are named on them, including, ironically, your dad. So the exact rules are all over the map. It really depends on which state we're talking about, which county we're talking about, and whether you're a direct descendant, which of course you are. That makes a big difference too. And here's where we kind of need to shift our thinking because as genealogists, almost everything that we do involves records that are old enough that privacy concerns really have long since expired. Census records, immigration records, even a lot of military pension files, by the time we're looking at them, the people involved have been gone for generations, and the laws reflect that. But records from, let's say, the last 75 years or so, that's oftentimes the first time that we run into it that we can't get our hands on the record. So if you hit this wall, I don't want you to read it as, I can't research my dad until, way in the future. Think of it as I'm researching someone close enough in time that the system is actively protecting him. And that's actually kind of remarkable if you think about it. It's not a dead end. It's just a detour. So one of the ways that we tackle this is we go home. We go search our home. So many times, the records that we need, the original birth certificate, for example, somebody has a paper copy of that. And that takes us to our next important strategy, which every genealogist should do at some point for everything. But in this case, in particular for Dad, it's to go home and mine the gold mine of your home, your parents' home, your siblings' home. Talk to your dad or your mom or whoever's still around and ask them, what do you have? Here's what I'm looking for. And it really can help versus just saying, hey, give me an idea of everything you have. Because they're not genealogists. They haven't looked at this paperwork in decades. And so it's not going to just hit them, oh, yeah, she needs a checklist of all of these records. No, you have your timeline that tells you the pieces that you're trying to fill in. And then just go ask people, can you check your files? Do you have this? What I'm looking for is a birth certificate. And remind them, I know he was born in San Joaquin County or wherever it was, and ask them to go take a look. And also go through your own records. You might be surprised what you've squirreled away over the years. And home records are some of the most valuable to find. Family Bibles can be a tremendous resource as well, particularly for someone born, let's say, in the 1930s or before the Social Security came into effect. You know, when it comes to records like birth certificates, for example, people are often surprised that birth and death records actually started quite late in the United States, generally speaking. Now, there's some areas in New England where they go back quite a ways, but in a lot of places, we're talking into the 20th century before there were official documents that were being created on a governmental basis. And so what happened when people went to apply for a Social Security card when Social Security came into effect in the 1940s? They turned to the Family Bible. In fact, my great-grandmother did this. When she went to apply, she used the Family Bible and she used the entry that was made about her birth to be able to go to the governmental office to get her Social Security card issued. And this might apply to your dad as well. So if you're coming up short on official governmental records, you might want to head over to the Family Search Wiki and just double check, when did those records actually start getting created in the location where your dad lived? And also ask around the family, does anybody have a family Bible? They may not have looked inside in the family section of their family Bible. They may not even realize that there's family history information in their family Bible. You know, many Bibles came with a section where you could fill out family information, births, deaths, marriages. I have several family Bibles. Some have not been filled out at all. Others had a wealth of information. And I've also been able to get in contact with cousins who had information that they could share as well. So family Bibles are a wonderful resource, and it may be very possible if you talk to your dad or your mom or a sibling or an aunt or an uncle, they may know they have the family Bible, but they may not realize that that information is listed in there. So ask around, ask them to, open it up and take a look and see what's there and share it with you. Some other things to be looking for around the house, and it helps so much to give this checklist to the people that you're asking to do some hunting in their homes. If you aren't able to, kind of go and visit in person. I kind of call these the shoebox inventory. I don't know about your dad, but my dad and my husband have shoeboxes of stuff. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. Maybe girls do it, but my husband, his father, all of them have, they would get a shoebox and they would throw their old car keys in there, or their dog tags, or their old Social Security card, their first address book from when they were a teenager. I mean, it's so interesting. It's like this little treasure trove, a micro biography of them in a box. And I have the one that my father-in-law had over the years. Now, I don't know, maybe this is just a phenomenon in my family, but I don't think it is. I think that there's a lot of little trinkets and cards and original driver's license and things that people collect, and they'll just toss them in a shoebox. So do your shoebox inventory. We're looking for old wallets. We're looking for an insurance policy, report cards, diplomas, maybe scout badges or union cards, address books. I know my husband has all the car keys from all the cars that he had, his original sunglasses, his aviator sunglasses. He had his dog tags. I mean, so many wonderful little things, all of which provide clues into their life. And of course, we're looking for photographs. So ask around, see who's got photographs. We're looking not just for the front of them, but hopefully for whatever's on the back, if there's names, dates, locations penciled on there. And another thing I put in the shoebox category are letters, postcards, greeting cards. And these might be tossed in boxes, in file cabinets. Ask around, see what you can find. I've really enjoyed looking through some of the old greeting cards that my dad had received and seeing cards from his aunts and his uncles and his cousins and his best friends and so many names and came up. And of course, some of them came in envelopes, and so they have dates on them as well and locations where they were mailed from. So we're going to generate a lot of clues by heading home and using our shoebox inventory list. So our home search is going to hopefully fill in some of the things that we are not able to get as far as official records because of the privacy wall. But there are other strategies that we can use to get around that privacy wall for our dad as well. And probably one of the top ones is newspapers. Have you stopped and done complete newspaper searches on your dad? I didn't do this until about 2 years ago, and it's so interesting. I mean, I didn't realize how many times and how many ways he was mentioned in the newspapers. They really are a powerhouse, particularly for living people. So we're not just talking obituaries here, okay? Newspaper research is all about birth announcements and school sports rosters, or mentioning activities and events and weddings, military homecomings. Even a traffic court listing could be in the newspaper. And also, perhaps looking up the clubs he was involved in, the places where he worked. I found articles mentioning my dad getting a promotion at work. So the newspaper is a treasure trove. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, which newspaper should I be looking for? Your timeline is going to help because you have general ideas of what locations he was in at different given time frames. So most newspaper websites allow you to kind of go in and do an initial search so that you can see if they even have a newspaper in that location during that time frame. And you can do a search and it'll tell you perhaps even if there are some results that mention your dad. It's not going to give you access to them, but a lot of times you can get yourself a free trial, maybe a 7-day or 14-day free trial, and check the subscriptions you already have. If you have Ancestry.com, they've got a newspaper collection in there. Go check that out. Same with MyHeritage. There's a lot of different ways to get newspapers. And if it turns out that a newspaper website that you do not subscribe to happens to carry the collections that you need during that time frame in that location, let's say it's newspapers.com. And although newspapers.com is owned by Ancestry, they have more newspapers than Ancestry does by far, and a terrific user interface. So if that were the case, take advantage of a free trial, and then maybe you do a 1-month subscription. But my guess is you'll get hooked finding so much good stuff that you are going to probably want to extend it and be able to research other people in your family tree. But right now, we're focused on dad. So you could certainly do even a 1-month subscription and probably get everything that you need. And here's another strategy. Don't just search for his name, okay? If you already have on your timeline some of the locations where he lived, house addresses, search for the address of his home. That's a wonderful way. Search for his phone number, okay? I have found classified ads, and I found it with our phone number. So I looked up the phone number. So think about the different ways that your dad might appear in the newspaper. His address, his phone number, variations of the spelling of his last name, might even say Mr. and his first initial and his last initial and then his last name. Lots of different ways. All of those need to be searched. Today's episode is sponsored by MyHeritage, a global discovery platform enjoyed by 110 million people worldwide. MyHeritage has it all, and it offers a full-service experience that bridges your past, present, and future. MyHeritage has developed powerful genealogy tools to enrich your family tree and take your research to the next level. Receive automatic matches to family trees of fellow MyHeritage users and to historical records, which provide new details that you can add to your tree. Explore 12 billion historical records to uncover fascinating new insights about your ancestors. Add new information to your family tree in one click. Check your tree for inaccuracies, colorize your black and white photos, and connect with relatives around the globe. MyHeritage makes it all possible, and it puts the discoveries at your fingertips. Growing your family tree is easier than ever before with MyHeritage. The discoveries are out there and waiting to be made. Visit myheritage.com and try it today. That's myheritage.com. Now, let's run down some of the other record types that are ideal for living people and recently deceased people. How about yearbooks? Most of the big genealogy websites carry yearbooks, as do other yearbook websites. So again, it's going to be about who's got the one that you need. Check them all. City and telephone directories are fantastic. City and telephone directories are going to help you fill in the gaps, right, from year to year to year. And many of the genealogy websites have them. And in addition to the older ones, you can do lookups for telephone directories today. So go to the people searching websites like 411.com or Spokio.com. There's a lot of them out there. You can just Google it, people searching website, or even just start with your dad's name in Google. And oftentimes it'll bring up these people search databases. Even if your dad passed away 5, 10, 15 years ago, chances are he's going to be listed in these databases. And while you may know what his phone number was and know the addresses where he lived, there's other information listed in those listings, including friends, family, and associates. So don't skip them just because you think you already know where your dad was. There could be information on there as well. Next, we're going to be looking for employment, union, or organizational records. We're talking about things like company newsletters, union local records, professional licensing boards, alumni associations, maybe a military unit reunion group. One of my favorite places to look for this kind of stuff, in addition to Google searching, which of course is our go-to so often, is Internet Archive. A lot of these organizations will use Internet Archive because they provide free storage. And if they're digitizing their records, oftentimes that's where you're going to find them. You find Internet Archive at archive.org. And of course, I have videos specifically targeting how to search not just Internet Archive, but also yearbooks and newspapers, things that we've been talking about. We have a lot of podcast episodes and videos over at genealogygems.com that go much more in depth for each one of these categories. So if one of these record types is new for you, go check those out because you'll get a lot of great strategies that are going to help you really zero in quickly on what you're looking for. And of course, with all of these, I would say AI is kind of your new best friend. If you go to AI and you tell it, I'm looking for yearbooks, and it's for this location, from this year to that year, where's the best place to find them? I want to look for the ones that are free first. Give it the profile of what you're looking for, and you'd be surprised how AI chatbots can really come up with details and links to great resources for you. If you want to learn more about how to do that, we also have under videos in the menu at genealogygems.com. Go check out some of our AI videos, and we have downloadable cheat sheets that go with those as well. AI can do a tremendous job of kind of corralling all that information and helping you target a specific record collection. And of course, don't forget Dad's digital footprint. Unless he passed away a long time ago, chances are he may have a social media profile out there. He may have posted on some message boards. He might have a work history over at linkedin.com. And you'll find old email addresses often listed on those people search websites that I mentioned, like Spokio.com. So think about the digital footprint. Again, Google search is going to be your friend with this. You might start with his name. So if his name is Mark Todd Smith, then you could put Mark Todd Smith in quotes. So that gives Google that exact name phrase and the names being spelled the way you want them spelled. And then you could also add in there perhaps a location or a time frame, other information that kind of makes your father unique, and just see what Google comes up with. It's going to search all websites. So it may very well pop up something that you have never even considered or thought about or knew about. And there it is in the search results list. And based on the results that you get using those initial search operators, you can tweak it. One of my favorite ways is to kind of corral the time frame that I'm searching. So in addition to your dad's name, you might say 1926 2002. And if that's his birth year and his death year, doing it in that format with no spaces tells Google that a 4-digit number, basically a year, that falls within that range must be included on the web result that it finds with that name. And this is so powerful because it's going to eliminate web pages that are talking about somebody with your dad's name who lived in the mid-19th century. It's just going to kind of move those results out of the way. So don't worry about the fact that your dad may have a very common name. There are ways and operators that you can use in Google searching to scour the web and find him, but during the time frame that he would have lived. And again, we've got some great videos on our website, really targeting just Google searching. And of course, that also applies to now Gemini, which is getting built in. AI mode is built in, kind of merging now with Google search. So don't miss that digital footprint. And remember that new content can come online every day. Even if your dad has passed away, somebody could be posting something new from 25 years ago that wasn't there yesterday. And we don't have time to search every single day. So what I want you to do is to use Google Alerts. If you have a free Gmail account of some type, you can go to alerts.google.com and you're going to copy the search that you ran over at Google and you're going to paste it on a Google Alert and you're going to give it your email address, your Gmail email address. And I believe it does have to be a Gmail account. So even if you don't have one, you could set one up just for this purpose. But what Google will do is it will then take that search, assume that you've already run it and you've looked at the results, and it's going to start from now on searching 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for that search query. Your dad's name, the time frame, the place, all those things you were looking for. And if it finds a new result, or it finds perhaps a web page you may have already looked at, but it's been updated, it's going to email you. And it's going to say, here's a new result, or here's 3 new results. And it'll provide a link to you, and you can go check it out right there. So you do not have to run these searches every day. You can put Google in the driver's seat to do the work for you, kind of like a little free personal research assistant, and be able to grab that content as it's coming online for your dad. And we didn't talk really specifically about photographs, but I really want to do that for just a moment, because what could be better than finding new photographs maybe you've not even seen before of your own dad? Now, when you're researching in the newspaper, you may very well come across some photographs. I know I did when my dad was being promoted. They had his photograph there, a picture I've never seen before. It was taken at work. But there's a lot of other places that you can do. First and foremost, when you run your Google search, be sure to not just look at web results, but click the Images tab in the search results. That will show you in photographic form, in image form, your results. And you can very quickly scan and see, is your dad in any of these pictures? Another place, Internet Archive, we talked about a lot of these company newsletters or alumni newsletters, those kinds of things could very well have photographs of your dad. And of course, more than anything, at home, ask around as you're conducting your interviews with cousins and aunts and uncles and your mom and your dad, whoever. Be sure that photographs is on your checklist. Before you wrap things up, just say, hey, do you by chance have any old photos or any photo albums that I can come look at? Or have you already digitized your pictures? You might be surprised at photographs that surface, particularly from a little more distant relatives. I've had so much fun connecting with my dad's cousins and discovering that they had photographs of him when he was younger that I have never seen and were a joy to find. So be sure and put that on your checklist as you're conducting your interviews to ask about the family photos. Fill in the timeline and the story of your dad. It's a story worth telling. Don't wait for Mother's Day next year. After you get done with your dad, go back and check. Did you do this for your mom? It's really important. Do it now. This week, pick just one thing from today's episode and do it. Okay? One is better than none, and it will get the ball rolling. So ask Dad one question, follow up with one of the relatives, go pull out the old family Bible and take a look. But get started. That's the key. We've all been there, scouring the aisles for a Father's Day gift that doesn't feel like an afterthought. This year, skip the generic and give him a gift subscription to newspapers.com, the world's largest online newspaper archive. With over 1 billion pages of history, newspapers.com puts Dad just a click away from uncovering photos and stories that haven't been seen in decades. Whether it's finding his own birth announcement, reading local sports, clippings from his glory days, or stumbling upon a 1920s advertisement for his grandfather's shop, the level of detail is incredible. And the best part? It's a gift you can explore together. It turns a quiet Sunday afternoon into a journey of discovery where he might see his own passions, like a love for aviation or a knack for carpentry, reflected in the lives of the ancestors who came before him. Once he finds those hidden gems, newspapers.com makes it simple to save, print, or share these discoveries with the whole family, preserving them for generations to come. This Father's Day, give him more than a card. Give him a connection to his roots and a way to keep family stories alive for the next generation. Head to newspapers.com, buy Dad a gift subscription, and start discovering your history together. Visit newspapers.com/genealogygems today and enjoy 20% off a subscription. That's newspapers.com/genealogygems for 20% off. Be sure to head to the show notes for this episode. This is episode 308, and I have a whole list of resources here for you. We have so much content. I've talked about a little bit here on the show. And speaking of information, at the Genealogy Gems website, which is truly, it is packed with content. We've been doing this podcast since 2007. And pretty much any area of genealogy you can think of, we've got it covered for you at the Genealogy Gems website. So, in fact, I got an email from Cassie. She's one of our premium members, and she said she was looking for the heirloom worksheet template that I had talked about on an episode. We did a video about how to catalog your heirlooms, and she was saying she had a little trouble trying to find it, and she asked, could you suggest a recommended way to do a search on the Genealogy Gems website for specific topics? Yes, absolutely. And in fact, there are 3 different ways that'll make it really easy for you to find what you're looking for at our website. So first off, head to the Genealogy Gems website and you click New in the main menu. You can click on any item that's listed there. Let's say you click on episode 308, this episode, that will take you to a show notes page. On every single show notes page, whether it's a podcast episode or a video page, you'll see a search box and a categories drop-down menu on the right-hand side of the page on desktop or at the bottom of the page on mobile. You can use the search field to search by keyword or maybe the name of somebody I interviewed. Whatever it is you're looking for, you can do that. Click enter, and you will see a list of results of content that mention those words. The other thing that you can do is use the category drop-down menu. And so we have most of the major categories in genealogy listed there. Click that and you will see all the content for that type of category. So if you're looking for military research, click military in the categories list. You're going to get everything that we've done on militaries. Now, I say everything, but most of our stuff. We've been publishing again since 2007. So some things were published in slightly different ways. I'll just put it that way. And so not every single item necessarily shows up in the results. Most do. And in fact, by far, most of the recent content that we've done will show up there. However, my second strategy for finding information on our website is to go over to google.com. That can find anything. So if I were to go to google.com and search the word heirloom, you could even put it in quotes if you wanted to, or heirloom worksheet, or the name of a person that I interviewed, and then put our URL address, https://lisalouisecook.com or genealogygems.com. You can even just copy the URL from our homepage, put that in the search box. And what that's going to do is Google is going to search our entire website, all of the publicly available pages, and it's going to give you a list of results for things that match. You can use the Google search operators. You can put multiple words, whatever it is you're looking for. Google does an amazing job of searching our website and giving you back content. However, the one thing that it probably won't return are actual premium content pages, because those are password protected. So here's my third strategy, particularly if you're a premium member. When you go to, for example, the page that lists all of our premium podcast episodes, it's in the menu under Podcast, Premium Podcast. You get this full list of all the different episodes we've done. On your keyboard, just press Control F, and you'll get a little Find On Page search box that pops up at the top of your screen on desktop. Type in your keyword. Try to keep it simple. This is going to search all of the descriptions that you see listed on that page. And it's a long page. There's a lot of content there. This is super fast. It's going to scour the page, press enter on your keyboard. It's going to jump you to the exact episodes that have that word or that topic. So that's, again, another really fast way to do it. You do not have to hunt and peck for what you're looking for. And if any of those don't get you what you need, email us, service@genealogygems.com. We're here and we want to help. And we've published this content to be helpful. So we want you to find it. Cassie, I really appreciate you writing in, asking that question, because I know if you have it, other people do as well. And she also said on another topic, she said, your realization while recovering from breast cancer that there were things that only you knew that needed recording in some way for your family was inspiring to me. She said, I loved your simple one sheet referenced above, which was the heirloom worksheet, and I plan to use it. Thank you for all you profess and do to make our genealogy journey an efficient, up-to-date, and fun one. Well, thank you so much for your kind and encouraging words, Cassie. It's our pleasure. It's my passion to help you along. And I think that your comments really dovetail into what we were talking about today, which is recording what we only know, or what your dad only knows, is so important. It's a little gem that just doesn't exist anywhere else. So it's very much worth doing. And share your dad discoveries, okay? Even small wins count. So I want to hear from you at gmail.com. I'd love to hear your stories. And of course, if you're listening and you are over on the show notes page or wherever you are, if you want to leave a comment, do that. Love to hear from you that way. If you have questions, maybe an area of records that we haven't specifically talked about, let me know. We can cover that in a future episode. And remember that future generations are going to research you the same way, okay? So model how you want to be remembered in the work that you do for your dad and your mom. Someday, someone in your family is going to want to know what your dad's laugh sounded like, what he believed in. Right now, you're the only one who can capture that. Not your great-great-grandkids with a database. It's you, and it's today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Do leave me a comment. Send me your questions. If there's something you want to hear on the Genealogy Gems podcast, something you'd like to learn about, questions you have, send them to me. This is your show, and I want to help you tell your family's story. So until next time, may your research bring you closer to the people who made you who you are. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.